The latest football prizes competition offers you a chance to win this stunning squad signed shirt framed with custom LED lights for just £3.95 per ticket. This competition also features 16 instant prizes, which include 2 tickets to see West Ham versus Everton and a Jared Bowen signed and framed home shirt, plus many others. The draw ends on Wednesday, the 11th of September at 7:30. Go to footballprizes.co.uk website for full details plus terms and conditions. Very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on a Wednesday early evening. I hope you're all doing well. Well, we've got through the first international break of the 24-25 season, and West Ham fans probably will be somewhat relieved that the news coming out from the club today is not as bad on the injury front as we first feared. If you're new to the channel, please do consider becoming a subscriber of the channel. Content is always free. And if you're new or existing and you've enjoyed the content, please do hit that like button. So, with the news earlier in the week that Niclas Fullkrug was returning back early from international duty because of a suspected Achilles tendonitis and calf issues, the good news is that it seems the German international only has some mild bruising around his ankle, and that he will not be out of action for too long. In fact, it's considered that Fullkrug will be available for the game against Chelsea in just over a week's time, so that he will only miss the Fulham game that's coming up this weekend. Now, earlier in the week, we were pondering that if Fullkrug's injury was bad, he may have had to miss maybe several months or even the whole season had the Achilles injury been much worse than was speculated. And perhaps there was also speculation that Lopetegui might have instructed Steiden to dip into the free transfer market to find either a short or long-term replacement for Fullkrug, as there was suggestion that he may not be able to rely on injury-prone and aging Michail Antonio or Danny Ings. Complicating matters further, Antonio was involved in a game for Jamaica against Honduras, which kicked off at 3 o'clock on Wednesday morning. That's UK time, of course. Now, with Antonio having played 2 games in quick succession, many fans believed that this would have been the time to have given Fullkrug his first start in the Premier League. But for the game against Fulham, this now won't be happening. Therefore, Lopetegui must still decide what he's going to do in the clash against Fulham. He may opt to risk Antonio in the starting lineup, then maybe sub him if he's showing signs of fatigue, or he may opt to call in Danny Ings to lead the line, or most fans' favourite choice is that he may also opt to play Jared Bowen up front, with Kudus potentially moving over to the right-hand side and Crescencio Somerville benefiting from getting his first league start of the season over on the left-hand side of attack. And speaking of Antonio, he scored the winning goal as Jamaica secured a 2-1 victory over Honduras in the CONCACAF Nations League on Tuesday night / Wednesday morning. Antonio won and netted a penalty about 14 minutes from time as Jamaica triumphed. Antonio was far more lively in this game than he was in the previous game against Cuba just a few days before. He went close with a low left-footed shot that flew past the base of the far post in the early stages. Jamaica took the lead, but Honduras equalised, and Antonio managed to win the game with his penalty. It was Antonio's 5th goal in 20 appearances for Jamaica. Jamaica's success means that they top the Nations League group with 4 points from 2 games. Over in Africa, Mohamed Kudus is better news for other players, and Kudus is one of them, where he played the full 90 minutes and registered an assist as Ghana secured a 1-1 draw in Niger in their second Africa Cup of Nations qualifying game. This was played on Monday. The West Ham winger won his 36th cap for Ghana as they gained their first point of the qualifying campaign for the 2025 tournament. Kudus set up defender Alidou Seydou to score a goal in spectacular style. Kudus himself beat two Niger players before finding Seydou, who blasted home with a swerving effort from the edge of the penalty box. Ghana couldn't hold on to their lead, however, and Niger equalised. The result leaves Ghana with 1 point from 2 ties. As we know, Jared Bowen made another late appearance for England in their game against Finland, where he replaced Harry Kane, who marked his 100th international cap with 2 goals at Wembley on Tuesday evening. Bowen didn't quite have the same sort of spark as he did in the previous game and in previous cameo role when England beat Ireland Republic of Ireland a few days before. But it was good to see him get some game time, as well as coming back to West Ham unscathed. Further afield again, Lucas Paqueta and Brazil suffered a surprise defeat against Paraguay in South America's qualifying campaign for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Brazil lost 1-0. It was Brazil's first defeat to Paraguay in 16 years. Earning his 52nd cap, Paqueta had a night I guess he'll want to forget, as he was booked before being substituted by Flamengo's Gerson with 11 minutes remaining. Paqueta being subbed did not come as a great surprise, and with so much demand for central midfield places at West Ham this season, his inconsistency may end up costing him a place in the starting lineup, possibly as early as this coming weekend against Fulham. Just like Antonio, Brazil kicked off in the early hours of Wednesday morning. That potential fatigue from travelling, as well as his poor display on the pitch, could result in Lopetegui having to make some tough decisions in the starting lineup against Fulham this coming weekend. For the first time in a long time, West Ham have got quite a lot of options available to them in the centre of the park. Mohamed Kudus, for example, is desperate to play in the middle, and he started the season in quite sharp form. Crescencio Somerville has also looked good in cameo roles, meaning Lopetegui has the option to move Kudus either inside into the middle of the park with, as I've mentioned, Crescencio Somerville out left, or he can move Kudus out on the right side with a number of players available to play in the central midfield role. Now, West Ham's head coach also rather tellingly, and I've said this before, brought in Carlos Soler from PSG on transfer deadline day. He's an all-rounded midfielder, great quality, and Soler will be expecting to play once he is fit and ready to go. He would make a good partner for Paqueta in many ways, but with Guido Rodriguez starting so well and Edson Alvarez back and Thomas Souček to consider as well, Paqueta might just be feeling the heat a little bit. And if he isn't, to be honest with you, he should be. Paqueta must start making some tangible difference to the West Ham team this season. He needs to start chipping in with assists, goals, and key passes. If not, then it will come as no surprise if Lopetegui drops Paqueta to the bench. If not this coming weekend, then maybe sometime soon. Other players, Thomas Souček scored a late penalty to help the Czech Republic record a narrow 3-2 win in the Nations League over Ukraine in Prague. Souček lined up from the start as captain alongside teammate Vladimir Coufal following Saturday's disappointing defeat at the hands of Georgia, where they lost 4-1. As you know, Souček as captain had the team in the dressing room and gave them a talking to after the game before the coaches were allowed into the dressing room to have their say as well. Souček struck from the spot with 10 minutes left. Now, Ukraine, they pulled a goal back with 10 minutes from the end, but the Czechs held on to earn a 3-2 win. Soufal also played the whole 90 minutes of both games for the Czech Republic, and his performances were stable, if not sensational. Other players on international duty included Dinos Mavropanos, who completed another 90 minutes for Greece in their impressive 2-0 win over the Republic of Ireland in Dublin. That maintained Greece's 100% record in their Nations League campaign. Mavropanos has actually been in superb form for Greece, where last week he played the full 90 minutes in their 3-0 win over Finland, and he's been really stable and really good. Other players, Guido Rodriguez was an unused sub, as defending world champions Argentina were defeated 2-1 in their game against Colombia. Despite that loss, Argentina remained top of the 10-nation table, 2 points ahead of Colombia. Finally, on Monday evening, Alphonse Areola was an unused sub as France dominated Belgium in a 2-0 victory in their Nations League Group 2 game in Lyon. The French had lost to Italy in their previous opening game and now are second in the table after the Italians defeated Israel 2-1 in Budapest. So what happens then with regards to team selections? Because now that we've got all our players back, it's a relief that, well, a mild relief that it's only Fullkrug that's injured, and thankfully it's only a minor injury, but he will be out for the game against Fulham. With Antonio coming back late and with Paqueta also coming back late and not being in form, could we see a lineup like this? Now, I know I've talked about other lineups, but I've kind of slightly tweaked the lineups a little bit. We've got Areola in goal. I think the back four will stay as they are. Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Kilman and Emerson. I'm putting Rodriguez back in line alongside Alvarez in the holding midfield roles. And then I think we may well see Danny Ings starting, which means that Bowen will stay out on the right. Crescencio Somerville will come in. And you could see Kudus in that number 10 attacking role for West Ham. Alternatively, if Lopetegui does decide to start with Antonio, like I said, he may bring him off if Antonio is showing signs of fatigue. But I think potentially the rest of the team will stay the same, with just Antonio starting over Danny Ings. And then if he does, Lopetegui, go for Bowen up front, we may well see Kudus going out on the right, and then you could see Souček starting. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of fans going, surely not. You start Souček over Paqueta. But at this moment in time, I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit. Again, I'm maintaining the same back line, the same goalie, the same two holding midfielders, but it's that front four that can change. It can change anything from Danny Ings playing up front, Antonio being selected to play up front, in both cases with Kudus being the number 10, or if Bowen went up front and Kudus went out on the right, then you may see someone like Souček in the middle. What do you think? It's going to be interesting to see what Lopetegui does. But at this moment in time, the one player that should really be looking out, and I mentioned this the other day as well, the one player that really should be looking out for his level of form is Lucas Paqueta. Do leave your comments. Do hit the like button. Do become a subscriber if you haven't already done so. And I'll see you all again very soon.